Welcome to Intimate Conversations, where we support you in healing heartbreak so you can live fully embodied, unapologetically, and deliciously free, being exactly who you are. We are sponsored by Magic Mind, my morning elixir that I swear gives me more focus, expands my joy, and puts an extra spring in my step. So, okay, you luscious creature, it is time to get intimate. Hello, you delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. This is my second date with the amazing Jessie Stephens. We had an IG live and there was such amazing feedback from all of you that they're like, you have to bring her on your podcast. So here she is all the way from Australia. I'm going to introduce her first with her bio, and then we will get away to the races. She is the author of the internationally best-selling book, Heartsick. I'd like all of you to go out and get that book. I'll put the link in the show notes for you. She's the executive editor of Mamamia and co-hosts podcasts Mamamia Out Loud and Canceled. And she's a regular on ABC Radio and television and Channel 10's The Project. And her work has appeared in Body and Soul, Vogue, and LitHub. And when we talked, one thing, Jessie, I want to say about you, you're just so fucking real. You're just like real. And I'm like, oh my God, what a breath of fresh air. What a breath of fresh air. And on our IG Live, you went into such vulnerability without apology. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. And I think this show is, intimate conversations. It's very much about intimate relationships with others. But I believe if we don't have it with ourselves, how can we have it with another? And I want you to know that ever since our interview, this one line you said to me has stuck with me and gone deeper and deeper and deeper, even though I'm old enough to be your mother. But you said, I like me. I like me. And I think a lot of us love ourselves, but I don't know how many of us like ourselves. So I would like us just to dive in there. How'd you get to like yourself, my sister?
I definitely don't every day. I'll tell you that. But I do wonder, and part of me doesn't like to say this because I know that there is a lot, and I know that there is a truth to this, that there's, self-actualization to be found independently and on our own. But my relationships, really close, intimate relationships with others, help me to feel that way. And particularly with my partner, who I've been with for about 6 or so years now, I think, it is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. It is built on a premise of absolute friendship and respect and fun and play. And it doesn't have the absurd highs of past relationships, and it certainly doesn't have the lows. And that took some adjusting, because you kind of go, oh, isn't it meant to be this passionate, I can't sleep, anxiety inducing experience? And it's not. But it's been a real enlightening experience to be with someone who I feel every day, even on hard days, even when I'm not my best, find something to like about me. And I think that has made me feel more secure, and it's really helped with my self-esteem. And I've also got a twin sister who I'm really, really close to, and I think that relationship has been foundational. And when I do have days where I'm not liking me, if that does happen, then I practice sort of looking outwardly and putting my energy towards others rather than inside, because I know there's a spiral I'll get into. But overall, I think it's about values and knowing that you're living your values. And if you do, then even on a bad day when you beat yourself up and your perfectionism gets in the way, you still go, I like me because I know what I'm about and I'm doing it.
Fucking love this. We didn't talk about your sister last time, but I wanted to, this is not probably the most elegant way to show on a podcast, but like I remember that photo and I was like, look at the way she looks at him. He's so like certain. I don't know what was going on at your engagement party, but just like that look is just like, look, everybody, it's so freaking adorable. What were you feeling and thinking in that moment?
I think security, and you know, I'm a little bit of a cynic about the whole marriage, and I hate the idea that the pinnacle of a woman's life might be, you know, who she walks down the aisle with. I really don't think think that that's the case. But I think that the decision about who you spend your life with is one of the most important decisions you make, because it can make your life really, really good, or it can make your life really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that probably it's like an element of pride, and just like, I almost feel like, I think we both feel like we've both hit the jackpot, and we're in that stage now. Like, we don't have kids, we don't have the responsibilities I know a lot of people have as relationships evolve, and I'm sure that there will be harder periods. But when both of you are in a state of almost like mutual adoration, and that's felt, you kind of walk around like you got lucky. And I think that that's where we're both at.
I love it. I love it. I love what you said also, Jessie, about the, oh my God, he's the one. And then, oh, he looked at another woman in this roller coaster that I believe is led by our egos.
Yes.
And you said something else about when you look outward. I don't think you mean looking outward for approval. I think you meant looking outward to give and serve and contribute.
Yes,
because
exactly.
When I used to look out for approval, which was the better half of the first half of my life, my safety was based on getting approval. My love, everything, I was outside in. And I was very much on the roller coaster, because if you liked me, I was high. If you didn't, I was low. I'd never found the through line. I'd never, not like the flat line, like when we're dead, but like more of a wave rather than a roller coaster, where I'm enough. I like myself. If you like me, I'd prefer that. But if you don't, I'm going to be okay. This sort of internal modulation. It took me decades to find that place. So how did you, for those that didn't get to see the IG Live when you kind of went into this before, how did you get off the roller coaster into more of that wave on the inside?
I think because I had a terrible sort of dating history in my 20s, and it was just awful. And I feel as though it was coming from a place definitely ego-led, and also really fractured self-esteem. And I thought that if I could just get someone to fill the gaps that I had in myself, then maybe then I'd love myself, or then I'd feel. And I also was quite obsessed with external achievement. I've had to really work on this. So like, you know, being the best at something, or being in an environment where I feel really validated, or an award of some sort, which never makes you feel how you think it's going to make you feel, like, which is one of the most depressing realizations, because you think you can work, you know, your butt off, and you can get to the end, and still it's not, the gap is still there. And so I did a few things, but I remember in terms of a partner, I remember someone giving me the advice to write a list of the qualities that I wanted in someone. And I realized pretty quickly that those priorities weren't being reflected in my choices even a little bit. So kindness, and a sense of humor, and someone who likes me, and someone who is a friend, they were not at all indicative of the last 5 guys I dated. So why would I think they were going to end well? And so I also invested a lot in like finding out what my work and kind of direction would be, what gave me satisfaction. And once I found like I was in a state of, you know, I was writing and I was really working on my career, and then it became like anything else was supplementary rather than you know, all this pressure on this person to make me whole or something. That wasn't going to work. And I do think that my relationships, I look back on that period and I was incredibly lonely, even though I had a twin sister, I had my family. But really investing in those relationships, I think, made me feel a lot more steady and stable.
I like this. Because at least with me, when my worth is determined on my achievements, it's like 1 minute that I feel good enough. And then I'm right back to the rat race again to try to get the next one. So kind of redefining what is success. It's more like it's a fulfillment, or you said satisfaction, or an alignment with your values. And if we can apply that over in the realm of dating as well, your whole life becomes a reflection of like why you're on the planet, the essence of you, not the job description of you or who's on your arms. So you said kindness, sense of humor, a friend. What are some of your values that juice you up?
I think definitely I wanted someone who could make me laugh, but also someone who laughed back at me. Like, I dated a lot of guys who didn't think women were funny, and that was quite apparent. And I was like, we're not going to have fun on the couch on a Wednesday night if this is not if we're not laughing. I wanted someone who, you know, loved kids and was really family oriented, and I didn't care what it was, but was passionate about something. If that was work, if that was what they did on the weekend, if that was a sport, great, just something. And so, and what this list, what I was advised to do was really rank it, because you know, you might not get someone, don't tick boxes, but like, what are the non-negotiables for you? And when you look around and go, that guy I just dated wasn't by any measurement kind. Like, he would not have helped anyone who was in need. He didn't have strong friendships. And seeing it that black and white, I think from writing the list and then meeting my partner, it was a matter of months. Like, it was just absolute clarity for me.
I love this. Yeah. What was one of the first moments when you were really vulnerable, like a really bad fart in bed, or I don't know what it would be, or like just something where like, oh, here's the moment where normally, I think you said in the IG live, I, run off to put a little something makeup on before, I kiss him in the morning. What was the first ugly cry or when you're like, holy shit, he's still here?
I remember this moment. It was really, really early on. Like, we were only just dating, and we'd been, like maybe we'd been on 3 dates, and we were with a bunch of mates. And I'm really clumsy as a person. I really try and hide that because it's not attractive. And I was walking down the street and it had been raining, and I slipped on a grate on the thing. And when you actually hurt yourself and you're like, okay, I can't really laugh this off because I've kind of hurt my back and everyone's seen and I'm so embarrassed. And he came over and put his arm out and helped me up and kind of said, oh, are you okay? Like, he didn't have a moment. I'd had partners in the past who would have been like embarrassed on my behalf and then like laughed, and they would have laughed it off, and then I would have felt silly. But he helped me up, and then I went, oh, my back hurts. And he goes, I know. And then we got wherever we were, and I remember sitting there and like the whole dinner with all these mates, he was kind of like stroking my back, like he knew that it had hurt and that I tried to be brave because I'd been with all these people. But the look in his eye didn't change. Like, I wasn't this clumsy embarrassment. It was like, you can do anything and I'm still going to feel exactly the same about you. And I just remember being like, oh, this is really stable. Like, what an incredible person.
Oh, I love this. I know you said you've looked outward to your sister or to him or to service to others, and you are highly accomplished and you do get awards left, right, and center. But I'm a geek. I'm a science geek. I can't imagine you could have attracted someone who was okay with you, even when you foibled, if you weren't okay with yourself when you were wobbly, right? Like, it's got to be a match energetically on some level. How do you think he became the man? What have you learned about him, who doesn't need to get everybody else's approval and can just be there with you no matter what?
I think it's so much to do with your upbringing and with the relationship between a man and his mother. And I think that that's been one of the most amazing things. Not that I don't think it's possible if there is a fracture there, but I think if I have a son, like I will have learned so much from how he was parented and the lessons which he probably rolled his eyes about as a teenager from his mother, who is a feminist and works really hard and is every bit as accomplished as his dad. And there was just the way that he sees women is just inherent to who he is. He's got as many female friends as he has male friends. There's a real equality there that I think makes a difference. And again, I think knowing who he is, I think that you can be a quirky kid and you can either sort of have it bullied out of you or have insecurities about it, or you can just learn to accept it. And there's an element of that being internal. It's to do with parenting. It's to do with the school you went to. But I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Like he's a, quirky person who isn't trying to hide it all the time, which is a lot more attractive, I think.
Oh, totally attractive. I love that. What was so you wrote your book Heartsick while you guys were in your relationship before your engagement. Yeah.
Yes.
The timing's right. Okay. So what are you like as a writer? He's like, here's breakfast, talk to you tomorrow. Like, how did he support you in birthing something really intense as a book?
Oh, it was so hard. And I remember I just had this thing that I didn't believe I was going to finish it. And I'd set myself this goal, and I'm very like committed to things and driven in that way. But I just had no faith I was ever going to finish it and that it was going to be this terrible book. And he would say, no, it's not. It's going to be great, blah, blah. Like he'd say all of that. Yeah. But when I remember kind of late in the process getting into bed and just crying and going, it's so bad. Like I hate it. I hate every word, not knowing that this was normal to the process. And he just, being the person that sits there and puts their arms around you and doesn't try and dismiss the feelings or doesn't call you silly or anything like that. And I've got people in my life who maybe have never struggled with anxiety, and they say, oh, positive thoughts, just think, and he doesn't do any of that because he's felt it too. Like he's quite familiar with those feelings, and that means he's coming from a real place of empathy. Yeah. And then, at the launch and when I submitted the book, there's just such pride that I feel from him. But I also know that and this is really important for me, that he's as proud of me for writing the book as he is for, calling my mum on a Tuesday. Like it's not about the glitzy, look at what she's accomplished. It's very stable, which is a good balancing out for me, who can lean very much the other way. And that's something I'm kind of always working on.
Oh, I love his stability. That's amazing. So you can really just get avocado toast made right. And he's just like, yay, here. Oh,
and coffee, so much coffee. He just knew when to make the coffee. He took my feedback about how to make it.
That's good.
It was just great. And he's also like, in terms of the mental load and household stuff, like he knows when I need a hand, and kind of, he's very ordered. And that's been a great thing too, is that even living together, it's always been, if anything, more him doing the tidying than me.
Bless him. Did you have conversations or agreements about moving in together to set you up to have a better experience, or did you just kind of figure it out as you went?
We did. And that's because he is very ordered and likes his space a certain way. And I think it was like, okay, we need almost like some ground rules. Yeah. And, we've joked before that we don't really fight very often because it's kind of preempted. Like he'll say, okay, I went into the washing machine and you haven't put the lid on properly. So next time, could you please put the lid, like very kind of like lay it out, which has been really, really good. And I think we've always done that with the next step, like even with looking towards marriage or looking towards children. It's like, okay, how can we prepare for this and be smart about this, because we've never done it before. And there are lots of ways to do it badly. So how do we kind of set ourselves up for success? Yeah.
So we'll talk about kids, then we'll talk about sex. So is he down? Because what are the chances you're going to have twins? It's in your blood.
It's a really good point. Because I'm a twin. I have twin brothers. It's sort of everywhere. And he would be terrified to have twins because that's going to throw the routine right out.
Yeah.
One is hard. But that's definitely something we're looking towards. And there's an age gap with us. So he's a little bit younger than me. I'm 32 in December. So I'm really thinking I'd like to have kids, and I came from 4 in my family. So I'm thinking I'd like to have a few. And that's been a real kind of long-term discussion for us, because I've always said that's the one thing about having a girlfriend who's a bit older that will need to compromise, because I probably can't wait for as long as some of your mates will be able to wait. And so we've always been really, really, open about it. And it's scary because you think, oh, I really like how things are now. Our lifestyle is great. And then we're going to blow it up, which is what parenting is. It's
times 2. You're going to double blow it up. Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly. So yeah, we'll kind of see how that goes.
Wow. Well, it sounds like, because relationships are work and they are meant to evolve you. So he sounds so great as a communicator and an organizer, and he's really going to get tested when literally shit hits the fan. Not like for real, like for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. So true. And that's been one of my, and I've spoken to him about that, because I'm like, we're the best version of ourselves when things are going well. And earlier this year, I had an accident and I broke my leg, and it was all a bit of a nightmare. And I think it was a real test for us, because I thought, okay, what happens when we're not two functional adults who can evenly do things, and when I'm in a really bad headspace, and when things are a mess and we can't control everything. Sometimes you just break your leg. And that, I think, was transformative, because it was a hard period. I was, a terrible version of myself. But he said, if we can get through the hard times, and that's what speaks to whether it's going to work as a long-term relationship. It's relatively easy when it's just the two of you living at home.
For sure.
Going out to nice restaurants.
even birth, like that's out of control. Like you think you go to the classes and you watch the videos, but when you're actually in it, I remember when my body was like, no, I don't want to lay on my back. And they're like, well, now you have to lay. I'm like, no. And it turns out the cord was around his neck, but my body knew and my instincts knew. And I was feisty. And these are moments when you're literally out of control, but you have to go to a deeper place of knowing, not thought, but gut instincts. And it all went beautifully. It was a very easy birth, no drugs, no ripping. I was eating a hamburger and fries, and I was like, is this going to be like this, like for 24 hours? Okay, I'll take the drugs. But my son was transitioning right as I was eating the burger and getting up on the table, and it was very fast and easy. So when it's time for birth, let's talk, because I did hypnobirthing. And basically
I've done a bunch of research on hypnobirthing, and I'm obsessed with it.
Okay, well, it friggin' works. And in a nutshell, it allows you to face your deepest fears before you get there. So you can integrate any of that. So in the moment, you can just be present, and mommy and baby or babies are one, and they can just come down, and you don't contract, because that is the opposite. You allow the surge to come down. And I was literally sitting on my ball, eating my burger, and I gave birth, 10 minutes later. So it completely.
Oh my gosh. Because there's so much about anxiety and stress, and I'm an incredibly, anxious person at the best of times, that it lives in your body. And I've always wondered how you deal with that in a moment and that's why when I interviewed someone about hypnobirthing, and I went, oh my goodness, this sounds like the most incredible, every woman who has done it swears by it.
Yeah, 100%. And so it's a really good example for life, in my opinion, that when we are willing to face our concerns, our fears, our anxieties, and we don't try to fix it or change it, we allow it. We don't judge ourselves for it. We don't resist it. We just allow. It was uncomfortable, I'll be honest, to have the baby come down. But because I decided we were a team, I wasn't going to be in separation with the pain or the process or my fears. I was going to go, it's okay, Alana, you're a little scared here. it's fine. That soothing of ourself soothes our body, and the baby feels it. And it was really it was exertion. I will say it was exertion, but it wasn't painful. And it was over in 10 minutes, the actual pushing part. Yeah.
Oh my
and I had all this energy because I wasn't resisting this whole time, getting anxious this whole time. I was just chatting with my friends. We were literally making porn jokes as we were eating our French fries on the bed. And then all of a sudden it was time to have the baby, and her husband was going to do the filming. And the video is so funny because she's like, yeah, down, you got to film down. It's our vajayjay. Yeah. You gotta, and so it was over. It was super great. So yeah, in time, we will talk about that.
God, what a dream birth.
No, but it was. And I don't tell many people because, when they've had 36, 48 hours of hell, I don't want to boast, but I also want people to know it's totally possible. And maybe that will be a gorgeous experience for both of you to process your anxiety and know, I got this in your body, and the baby or babies will feel, and for him to let go of control and just know that his presence, that's it. It's just his presence. That's all you need. Right?
Yeah.
So you'll both evolve lots, and that'll prepare you for when the kids do what the kids do. Yeah. Yeah. What did your sister think about him when you first started being friends and then dating? How close are you? And do you tell her everything? And
yeah, we do. We talk about everything. We work together. And he worked there as well. So we were she was almost closer to him at the beginning than I was, and they were really good friends. And then I think she had some apprehensions about dating anyone in the workplace, but she knew he was good. And when she realized, she was like, if anything went wrong, I trust that he's not this vindictive person who's going to ruin your life at work. And since, it's been the best thing watching their friendship grow. And there's been times where Claire's been having a rough time or whatever, and I remember I was away once. I think I was away for work, and he went over and took her out for ice cream to just cheer her up. And I thought, that's what you want, like someone who looks after your family as much as you would. And we come as a pair. Like, we traveled earlier this year with myself, him and my sister and her fiance, the four of us. And there's no one in the world I prefer spending time with than us four. Like, it's just, it's a big thing to bring someone into a twin relationship, and you've got to choose the right person. And I've seen it go very wrong. But it's really, really good.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I want to be honoring of your time, and I feel like we could talk for a long time, but you have to start your day. I want people to know what they are getting into reading your book, because it's very beautiful, very vulnerable. And I believe it's what the world needs. Enough of this spiritual bypassing, and really, like, the very worst can bring out the very best in us. The very darkest is the path to the light, in my opinion. So I honor you and celebrate you for that. That's why I'm an intimacy expert, not a roof shingles expert. Like, I love being deep and real and raw and naked with my emotions in a way that can invite others to feel safe to be the same. So we can just be closer and have each other's back. So please get her book, Heartsick, but tell us a little bit about what you hope the reader will experience through it and by the end.
I think it's one of the biggest gifts that you can give someone, is to put words around a feeling, because a feeling to a lot of people isn't articulated. And I think that's why I found this book so hard. I interviewed 3 people, and it's sort of, it's in the style of fiction. It's not written as an interview. It's these 3 stories that I cut between, of what happened when they fell in love and they thought the course of their lives had changed, and then heartbreak, upended that, and it completely pulled the rug from under them. And it's about what the next day looks like, what you do, how do you keep going to work? Do you keep going to work? It's about those real moments of crisis that I feel that we skip over, or that we instinctively, out of a survival instinct, kind of close all the doors and don't share, unless we're in maybe retrospectively. But the thing about retrospect is that we've started to apply all these lessons, and, we say, oh, but I'm all right now and I've met someone. And I didn't want that. I wanted people who were in the grips, who were in the grittiness of it. And so that's what the book is about. It's about exploring the mess and the chaos and the pain and the assault on the ego that is romantic rejection. It's one of the hardest things I think you can deal with. And that's what I wanted to do justice to.
I so love this. I love this because we were talking about some of your values and the kindness and sense of humor and all of this, but you use the word satisfaction and fulfillment, not like success. And I think there's a satisfaction and fulfillment when we can stay connected to ourselves in the chaos.
Yes.
When we can sit in the fire and really be with the mess and not reject ourselves. And then it's a power, it's a capacity that means no matter what's going to happen in my life, which we cannot control, I'm okay. I got myself. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
and I think I was also honoring my own past experiences that at the time I had dismissed. I had dismissed in front of others. I had downplayed because I was embarrassed. I had sort of pretended as though it was mutual, or as though we'd only been dating for, 2 months. It didn't really hurt my feelings when it did. And I just went, what would happen if I just confessed, if I just admitted how much this hurt?
Yeah.
And I've got chapters at the beginning and the end that are my own experiences. And the response to it has been, no one has made fun of me. No one's gone, what an idiot, how embarrassing, you're oversensitive. It has just been people sharing their own stories and feeling validated that this is a universal human experience and not something we should feel ashamed of.
Oh, I so love you for this. My whole purpose is people that haven't had the safe space to share their shame, so they put it away and it grows, right? If you don't shine light or love or compassion or empathy on it, it'll grow. So your book is such a wonderful invitation to shine light on this so we can normalize being human.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's just called being human.
Yeah. And the ugly, what we think are ugly moments, but are in fact, it's that loneliness and going, oh my God, I'm all on my own. There's not a person on earth who hasn't felt that. And to articulate that, which was really hard to find the words and the metaphors, and people have been trying to do it since the beginning of time, but it's hard. It's hard to get it right. And to sit down and attempt that project was a real feat, but I feel as though the response has been, just to know that I've connected with a reader is what matters.
For sure. And therapeutic for you as you go through it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Am I remembering right? There's another one in the works, another book?
Yes, you are. I'm kind of 3/4-ish.
Oh, look at you.
All over again of just like hating every word I've written and procrastinating, and I'm getting there, but writing a book is an awful experience.
I don't think I'm going to write another one for another 7 to 10 years. But it's a big deal, but it's well done. Thank you for taking all the time and getting back up again, even after wanting to give up tons of times, to share this level of depth, to let it be safe to be messy. Thank you for sharing your story of your wonderful, real relationship, not the highs and the lows and all the rest of it, but the real relationship and the valuing of humor on a Wednesday night and the beautiful communication skills that you have, and a willingness to go jump off a cliff into the unknown with the best of intentions and the best of communication. But when the kiddos come, I'm excited to see how that will support you. And I really love that you have this beautiful family around you, his and yours, to support you with parenting. That's something that my mom died, and the week after I got pregnant at my sister's wedding, we just decided that she was on vacation and we were just going to drink. And raising a kid without your mom, so that grief and was intense. So not to be a victim about it.
But no, I can't imagine. And I think that the difference in having a family around. I've seen it in friends, and I think I can imagine how almost traumatic that would be, because you're thinking about your mother more than you ever have, because you can only realize the sacrifice and the work until you're doing it yourself, and suddenly she's not even there for you to say thank you. Like, that would just be awful.
It was intense, I will be honest. And when my baby was growing in my belly, I was saying to him, I would do my morning meditation and I would say, I'm not sad about you, but damn it, if I'm going to make you like be attached to you to not heal from my mom and make you my everything and put all this pressure on you to replace her. So I said, I'm crying because of her, not because of you. And so it really deepened my relationship with him in utero. And when it was this, I'll tell you this little story. When I watched her die, I remember that moment and I was like, I have a choice right now to close my heart. Yes, we'll check out by 9. You can take her organs. Like, it was just like that. And I was like, no, this is the moment. I have one moment to look at her. And she wasn't in there. She wasn't sleeping. It's different, right? They're not in there. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is the most excruciating pain. 1 potato, 2 potato. Keep your heart open. This is the one moment. 5 potato. She's everywhere. And I just got blinded just with this. She's everywhere. It was incredible. It was the most painful moment that brought me bliss. And then got drunk, got pregnant, got married, got divorced. Anyways, and there I am giving birth 9 months or so later. And it's that moment where you look at them for the first time, this thing that's been kicking your ribs and you haven't been sleeping and all the rest of it. And I'm looking in his eyes. I'm like, oh my God, this is bliss. Here's this little miracle. But then same thing. I said, there's only gonna be one moment. Keep your heart open. 5 seconds. Oh my God, bliss, bliss, bliss. And then all of a sudden after 5 seconds of bliss, I'm like, oh, fuck, how do I keep him alive? Shit.
Yeah.
Oh God, so what I realized in life, and I saw this heart, whether it's the path of bliss or whether it's the path of pain, if we keep our heart open, we're going to get to the same place. We're going to get to the same place.
Yeah.
It was really a beautiful gift that it all happened the way it did. Not fun, intense.
Yeah.
But I was, damn it, if this is happening, I refuse. This is happening for me. I'm going to keep curious and surrendered and brave and humble and a hot mess until I find this gift. And it was really neat.
I think most of us shut off in those moments. We go, I can't feel anything right now. And we shut it off and we just go, I don't want to feel. Yeah. But to actually let yourself, it suggests maybe there's nothing to be afraid of, like that maybe it's okay.
Well, thank you. Like my whole business around intimacy is supporting people in coming home into presence so they can just be free and unapologetic with who they are in the bedroom, in the boardroom, just here I am. And the way I've gotten there is when a feeling comes up, if I resist it, it grows. But if I allow it, and I'm an achiever, I'm a goal-driven woman, right? So I want the feeling to be over so I can be happy. So let go of the outcome and let go of the resistance and just be in the hell of it. When I do that, the more I allow, the more the magic occurs. Like it happens to me, I'm not doing it to the feeling. And all of a sudden there's resolution, or there's wisdom, or there's allowance, or there's sometimes courage or grace or peace or insight. But through the allowance of feelings is how I've healed, and I've healed my clients. And so I applied what I learned to the two kind of dichotomies of like death and birth. And it took everything, but they melded into one. And I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed because I still get scared, but I know, I know I can get through anything. I know it. I know it. And that to me is priceless, to go through life knowing that we might cry, it might be scared, it might not go our way, but I know it's going to be okay. Yeah.
That I think that's what strength is. And most people do not have that.
Well, we have to practice. We have to practice. I certainly was not born this way. It's like, it's quick. I mean, I didn't even know I had an inside, let alone like I didn't even have a relationship with my feelings. Didn't even know I existed on the inside. It was all people pleaser on the outside. So yeah, thank you. I've come a long way. Yeah. So in conclusion, I want everyone we'll put the link in the show notes for you to get her book.
Thank you.
What can we hold as a vision for you as you move forward? Is it your wedding? Is it your babies? Is it just a Wednesday night on the couch? Just allow us to send energy for your best life, Jessie. What vision would you like us to hold?
I think a family. I think having my own family and sort of moving into that next stage and doing exactly what you've just talked about, which is trusting that I'll be okay no matter what chaos comes my way. Yeah. And there is no greater practice in surrendering. You couldn't get through it if you didn't just surrender. And so I'm feeling a lot of fear about that stage, but also knowing how much I want it. So I think I'm doing a lot of practicing of just going, this is what life is about. It's about the unknown, and you've just got to trust.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I needed our conversation tonight. So thank you. Telling you about this reminds me, oh yeah, you can do it, Alana. You're going to be fine. Yeah. So that's the beauty of connecting and communicating. We often get reflected exactly what we need to hear, even when we don't even ask for it or know it. So thank you. You're beautiful.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. And so all of you watching or listening, I'm sure there were moments in this conversation that really touched you. And so please, after this is done, take a moment and journal. Take a moment and go for a walk in nature. Take a moment and meditate, and really allow this conversation to make you take an action that you normally wouldn't have taken, so that the trajectory of your life literally shifted because you took time to listen to us and listen to yourself. We love you and we have your back. And until next time, all my love. Thank you for joining us for another edgy, transparent episode. I want you to be able to do more, stress less, feel happier, like I have with Magic Mind. So for Intimate Conversations listeners, you can get 40% off with my code INTIMATE20 when you go to magicmind.co/intimate. You're going to feel amazing, I promise. Thank you for being who you are. I love the shit out of you. Until next time, I've got your back.